It's starting. Okay. And here comes something. That's pretty cool. It just kicks on. Or you told it to start broadcasting, didn't you? Did you tell it to start broadcasting? Okay. Okay. Yeah, which it's still coming on over here. Leah Mark is a part of ASA Northwest. Okay. Okay. But maybe whenever, yeah. Okay. Okay. Yeah, I see that. Well, then there's really no need to have it if it can't keep up. Yeah, there's no need in eating up the bandwidth. Okay. Okay. Yeah, and it's still trying to load here. So we'll just shut that off. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. There's no need. That way everybody's will work quicker. You can just do that with that one. You just shut it and it turns it all off. Oh, that's good. That's good. Man, that caused an alarm to go off on that PC. Okay. So so you can hear me now? Okay. So do we want to? Are you going to start off with the mouse, or do I need the? You'll start off with the mouse because I don't need it during the introduction. So I'm going to do the introduction, and then you're going to get it. You can get it set up and just hand it to me, can't you? Okay. Well, let me tell you when that's going to happen. Um, so I've been preparing for tonight since I was 5 years old. So when you hear me that right there, and I'll just talk about. Let me just make a mark here about there's a transition. We're going to transition. We're transitioning from me being in front of the camera and YouTube having the Prezi, right? We're going to load the Prezi on YouTube, right? Yeah, we're gonna transition by moving the Prezi over for our YouTube audience. Okay, right. And then everything being recorded, including my introduction. Okay, okay, okay. All right, good. So as far as I know, we're set, right? Man, amazing, John. Thank you. What's that? Yeah. Yeah, I heard. Oh, they show up at Mark's and Sid's? Hmm. No, not with me. I do at home, but and I've heard some of the rules of the speakers is that everybody knows who they are. That's in the room because there's an introduction, but they don't not for any other special reason, but just that's the case. Yeah, but I don't mind wearing one. If you think I should, you just write my name on there and just stick it on there. Yeah, I do. I'm 100% on name taxes. It does help you. You think? Oh yeah, and I need to talk about text messages while we're making that transmission too. We have the cookies. Yeah. Yeah. Hey. Hi. All right. Well, the room kind of got quiet here for a little bit. Certainly, we have a lot more people here than are here. We've got about 70 people that are streamed online through YouTube, and we're glad that you were able to be a part of tonight for sure. I especially want to thank Jason Everett for the use of this room. He works for the company Liberty National. This is the Everett agency that have been so kind to let us use this room. Rob Hammonds, one of his clients are here. Not client, what's the word I'm looking for? A supervising agent is also here with us tonight. He's here to make sure we don't tear the place up. Uh, and then it was so nice that now is Karen still here or did she leave? Karen? Okay, well, she made us some chocolate chip cookies, Karen, so we can congratulate her there. Thank you, Karen, for the chocolate chip cookies. And I'm sorry that you guys don't get any. Uh, Yeah. So also want to thank Leah with Kittle's Garage. Leah has done a yeoman's work. What's the word? You've done a lot of work to help me get here. So thank you, Leah, so much for your hard work. She is the owner of Kittle's Garage in North Little Rock, Arkansas. She serves on our board of directors with ASLA and has made this place look pretty nice. So thank you, Leah. I appreciate your help and your work in making it happen. Yep. She's always sending me articles and telling me things, and she's just like one of my biggest cheerleaders, and I really appreciate her very much. John Dodson, he's handling all of our, well, he's the reason that you can see me. So you can either blame him or, I don't know. But he's helping with all the sound and technology. And there will be a transition period that occurs between my introduction and we're actually going to the presentation that's going to be on YouTube. So you folks on YouTube, the whole screen will be filled with the presentation. It won't be me. You won't see me. You'll just see the presentation. So you get the bonus, but all of you guys will have to look at me the whole time. Okay, so that'll be some of the differences that will happen, and we'll transition that time right after the introduction time. Well, again, thank you all for being here and taking time out of your life to come and hear a little bit more about ASLA and what we've tried to accomplish. ASLA stands for American Skilled Labor Association. I don't think I have to convince anyone in this room or that's watching on YouTube that there is a challenge before us. It's just evidenced by the fact of the number of people that are here tonight, the number of people that have signed up online to be a part of this meeting tonight. And specifically, not just the number of people, but specifically the people that are on this call. The prophet Mitch Snyder, I call him a prophet because some years ago, and we're talking the 1980s, he wrote an article about this very problem coming our way. So he knew back then. Mitch Snyder's been a writer for our industry for a good number of years, and he's on the call tonight. So we appreciate you being here, Mitch. Thank you for your time tonight as well. We have an array of coaches from Elite Worldwide and RLO that are on with us tonight. Shop owners from Southern California to New Hampshire are on the call tonight. From Michigan to Texas, ASA chapter officers from all over the nation are on our call tonight. So I don't think I have to convince anyone here or there. If I were to say, Houston, we have a problem, they would know exactly what I meant, and we do. But what I do have to do tonight is convince you that this plan is the plan to help us in addressing our technician shortage in a very positive way, because that's what we want to do. It's to get our ox out of the ditch. That's what we're here for. We're going to learn about that tonight. I heard recently this term that made so much difference. It makes a lot of sense to me, and I think all of my staff that are here. I'm going to mention some of the folks that are here in a moment, but if we don't change, we'll continue to face the same difficulties. Change happens a lot in my life. It's been that way for a long, long time. I want to remind you that as we go through tonight, those that are on YouTube, you have some questions that you can get to. John, it looks like that's stopped, but maybe it will catch up. I look nice, but yeah, got my shirts right and tie. I'm just standing still. Yeah, that is. Yeah, that is. If it made me look good, it is good technology. Thank you. Yeah, even better. All right, he's going to take a minute to reload that. TV timeout. Yeah, we'll be right back after this commercial break. How's that sound? Yeah. Okay. Okay. All right. Good. All right. That's good. What we've done is we've just, rather than relying on totally on technology, those that are on YouTube that have questions, you just need to text me to my cell number, which are on several slides throughout the presentation tonight. I'll go ahead and give it to you now if you want to write it down, but then also it'll be on several slides. It's 501-993-6121. We'll finish the presentation, then we'll go through any questions that we have in the room, and then questions that we have come in on text messaging on my phone. We thought that would be a more efficient way to handle any questions that are going to certainly come our way. And I'll tell you who else is here tonight that I think is really, really important. You see, for the last year, we've been putting this program to work at Parkway Automotive. We have with us here Brian, who's our mentor. Brian, raise your hand. Yeah, Brian Stafford. He's a mentor with Parkway Automotive. And we have Kevin Lynch, who's the apprentice at Parkway Automotive. And these two guys have been working together as a team for the last year, really helping me refine the apprentice program, helping me see all the things I'm doing wrong so I can get it right. We've had multiple meetings, and these guys have done a tremendous job to help me get, or us, to get the ASLA apprentice program done right. Been a terrific job. Thank you, guys. We do have some others that are still coming in. Lee Price with the Department of Labor, with the United States Department of Labor. Don Belcock with the State Approving Agency for Veterans, for the Veterans Administration. Glenn Curry with the Arkansas Department of Career Education, and he handles specifically apprentice programs. And also members of our board of directors are here. I want to mention that the most important person here, of course, of all, is my wife of 26 years, Nancy. So we're so glad that you're here. For me, the most important one, for sure. So let's start with the motivation. Where did this all get started? How did this all come about? I got to start with what came into my heart. You see, I grew up without a father. And I went to 9 schools in 6 years in my elementary years, and I went to 3 more before graduation. So if you do the math, that's 12 schools in 12 years. Change was something that happened a lot in my life growing up. College was not an opportunity. We had to go to work. You see, there's this thing that says if you don't work, you don't eat. And I like to eat, so I went to work, and that's what I did. I went to work in this industry, and I came in this industry right out of high school. I went to work in a dealership, and for the last 34 years, I have been amazed at what you can do in this industry if you're a hard worker. It is amazing. And also in my 34 years in the industry, I've met colleagues from all across the country. And I've developed some really close friends all across the country. Many, if not all of them, we're all fixers. We fix things that break, right? That's what we do. We're in this industry. So in 2012, a small group of business owners, we met together to just share ideas. And some days we just needed someone to, be a listening ear for us, a shoulder to cry on. Business owners all sleep like babies, right? Or am I the only one in the room that wakes up every 2 hours crying? That's how a baby really sleeps, right? Because that's what it's like to own a business. There's some days you just take it all home with you. You can't get rid of it. It's just there. So we called this little group, we called it a catalyst group. In fact, we even wrote a book together called Big Business in Little Rock. So we just told our story about what it was to be in business in Little Rock. Had an opportunity to meet with the governor of Arkansas and talk with him. That was Mike Beebe at that time. And it was a great joy to just be a part of that writing and to talk about Little Rock, Arkansas, as a place for business. It's a tremendously wonderful place to live. 2 years ago, I received an email from a very close friend who owns a shop out in the Midwest, and I'm going to read what he wrote to me. He said, "Mike, I feel like today will be the beginning of the end for my shop. I've tried for months to hire another tech, and I've tried virtually every method and avenue available. It's become such an issue here that shops are becoming ruthless in their pursuit of technicians. I can't even seem to land a viable B tech, much less an A tech. The hostage situation will most likely come to a head today, despite every effort I have made to prevent it." And I can just tell you that that's the lament of shop owners many, many times. So from that, a lot of questions just started popping into my brain. Those who know me, these things just kind of happen. If you've ever like watched popcorn pop, that's what goes on in my brain sometimes when things start going around and get moving around. But I had a lot of questions. I thought, well, why is everyone going to college? I wasn't able to go to college. Why is college debt the norm? Other industries have internships. Why don't we? Our aging fleet of technicians are not giving back. Why? Why not? Then my thoughts went to influences and people that change our lives. They change our direction in life because of their influence on us. I thought about that. You know, there was a time in our country where fathers were that person. They were that person that made the influence of where their children did with the rest of their lives. There are fatherless homes with little or no direction all over our country right now. So if there's one thing that I've learned from this recent life journey, is that there's still lovers of cars out there. They're all over the place. And they really want to be in our industry, but there's no direction. There's no one there to show them, to give them those tracks to run on, to be successful in our industry or many other industries, especially when we talk about skilled labor. Because so many times, everybody, all they heard is you have to go to college. And I know that there are a lot of jobs that require college, and God bless them, because we need you to go. We need you to go if that's what you want to do. But I would argue to say there's a lot of Mike Davidsons out there. There's a lot of Mike Davidsons that need some direction. They want to work with their hands. There's skilled labor, whether it's carpentry or, in our case, automotive technicians. They just need a direction. So all these things are just swimming around in my brain. And it was through the meeting, and I know that our board members here may remember that meeting, we began to talk about a skilled labor association. And it was in that meeting that, I mean, we were just there as business owners, just, you know, again, just crying on each other's shoulders and talking about, well, this is one of the laments that I had in one of the meetings. So we began to talk more and more and more and more. And we talked enough that finally ASLA was born. It was a pretty exciting time. I began to think about it. Something else was going on that proved to be very vital to ASLA. You see, in the winter conference of 2015 for the Elite Pro Service, Bob Cooper presented what's called the APG. It's Apprentice Program Guide. It was amazing work. He did an incredible job. He had some help. He had some help from a guy named Joe Marconi, one of the great guys in our industry. Another guy, Jim Perino, an incredible guy in our industry. I mean, these are seasoned guys that know what to do. So these three guys, and they allowed me to help a little bit. But we put that guide together. And after I read it, I realized that what Bob had done is that he had actually created a template for building an apprentice program. And it was instrumental in the final building of what's now been approved by the Department of Labor. I learned that there are federal dollars available for apprenticeships. Now, that's when my eyes woke up, because I know what it costs to train people. I know exactly what it costs. And what was interesting about it is I talked with the federal government and the Department of Labor here locally, that's the representative of the United States Department of Labor, that ASLA could actually be a conduit for shops all across the state of Arkansas and across the nation to have access to those funds. And the reason the shops didn't have access to those funds, because they would have to go through what I've been through the last 2 years in order to receive those funds and to get help. And I'll show you that tonight. So when I think about the world that we live in, the one in which you bring a guy into a facility, a guy or a gal into a repair facility, and no one's really watching that person close. You know, we call them a lube tech, or we call them a person that's just learning the industry. Maybe they just sand the cars down if it's a body shop, or are doing whatever, but there's no one there to guide them. We just need them to produce. No one really has an investment in this person. And many times, more times than not, and I've talked to many, they leave our industry. I've talked to guys, I get emailed every day, the number of people that have applications out there that have the word mechanic or technician, and I'll call them and I'll speak with them. And a lot of them, no, I'm not looking to be in the industry. Oh, why not? Just talk to them and ask them. And they'll tell me why. There was nobody investing in them. They were kind of, here's a ranch, go get them, tiger. That's a pretty tough world. But see, I knew we could train. But I also knew that it needed to be one-on-one with close oversight. Because without close oversight, people can die. Wheels can be left off. Brake lines cannot be tightened. Little things. And people die. And have died. It's that important. People don't look at their cars the way technicians do. Technicians are skilled people who have one thing in mind. How can I make this car safe for that customer? Because no one else is going to look under the hood of this car. No one else is going to look underneath this car until I look at it again. My job's important. We got to train them right. They got to have oversight. I also wanted to create a place that our aging fleet of technicians, if I can refer to them as that, could have a place to give back. I don't want them to just retire and take their knowledge with them. What a waste. We can't do that. I wanted to build relationships between the old and the young. Those are relationships that will last a lifetime. They'll never be forgotten. Am I right, Brian? Am I right, Kevin? Yeah. Never forget those relationships like that. I also wanted the thousands of fatherless children to be given direction. A direction of success of their particular chosen career. That's what I wanted. You might say that I've been preparing for tonight since I was 5 years old. Because that's when my parents divorced, and that was the last time I saw my dad. And I don't say that to be sad. I mean, all the changes that occurred in my life helps me accept change quite well. In fact, I embrace it. You might even say I'm addicted to it. You know, it is what it is. So, we're going to transition to the actual presentation to help you really understand what ASLA is and what we've done with it and where we want to go with it. So give us just a moment. And again, any questions that you have for those folks that are on YouTube, you're just going to text that message to 501-993-6121. Give us just a moment to make the transition. All right. Get me on my spot. You may have to go ahead and home first to get those arrows down at the bottom. Yeah. All right, good. Good. Okay, can you go back and move, go back and get control and move the blue bar at the bottom all the way. Yeah, let's, for some reason it was at the end of it, probably because of me, so hit that home button again. And, okay, you see the blue? Can you see the blue right there? Move that, grab that button and move it all the way to the left. Yeah, grab it here and move it all the way to the left. There we go. Which would indicate that I've been through this at least once, which is a good thing, right? Okay. All right, good. All right, well, introducing ASLA. What we want to do is we want to get inside the head of how this all came about. Again, ASLA, American Skilled Labor Association. My initial idea with ASLA is that we don't have to do it just here in Arkansas. We can do it all across the United States. We don't have to do it just with the automotive industry. We can choose whatever industry that has skilled labor in it. We can expand that way. So my vision is much farther than just automotive, but this is where we're going to start because that's where my heart is. That's where I live, right? All right, so let's go inside the head. So the purpose right now for ASLA is to provide a vision for the potential of the industry to junior high and high school counselors and students. We want them to know at that age what our industry even has to offer, because for years we've been telling them go to college. All right, so we want to make sure they're aware of it. Again, there are those who need to go to college, but there are those that there might be another path. We want to be that other path. We want to provide real-world training to graduated students. Graduated students means you need a GED to qualify. It's part of the standards in ASLA. You can't drop out of school and join ASLA as an apprentice. You've got to finish high school or a GED. We want to provide clear apprentice and mentor instructions with deadlines. We want those tracks to be run on. It can't be just bring him in and have him work with somebody, him or her. So I've been meeting with people over the last 2 years, and here are a few of their names. I'll just do some name dropping of people in Arkansas because I haven't traveled the nation, okay, with ASLA. I've only, gotten out of Arkansas. I think I may have just gotten a passport recently to even leave the state, right? I've been here my whole life. Chris Massengill, he's the chairman of the Delta Regional Authority. Becky Reinhardt, she's the director of Arkansas Economic Development Commission. Randy Zook, he's the head of the State of Arkansas Chamber of Commerce. And Jane English, she's an Arkansas State Senator for the 34th District. Every one of them, as I sat down eyeball to eyeball for at least 2 hours, showing them the whole plan, going through everything with them, bringing them a binder, they said, this is a missing link. Every one of them used those words. It's the missing link. It's what we've been looking at. See, I can't know everything they know on their side. I can only know what my passion is, what my drive is, and what I want to see change in our industry. But they said there's a missing link. I said, well, good. We must be on the right track. What do we do next? So I got through as we look at ASLA, we went, well, who benefits from ASLA? And there's probably some I haven't even thought of. There's probably some things I haven't thought of, and our board of directors and others, even in this room or online, will be able to know. But a shop receives a pre-employment process identifying qualified apprentices. See, we're going to pre-qualify the apprentices. We're going to make sure that these are people that love the industry. We want to make sure that it's people that have the skill, the ability, the love, the desire to be a part of our industry. They're out there. They're everywhere. A steady availability of qualified apprentices. You'll also receive the apprentice program guide. And what you'll really be interested in knowing is the APG. I'll just call it APG because it's easier for me. The APG. It also has a guide in there for service advisors. They're not considered skilled labor, but they still need to be trained. And what you should know is this is a huge gift given to us by Bob Cooper to our industry. He gave it to ASLA. I'm so very thankful for that. Mentoring apprentices, hands-on training, a sense of belonging and ownership. Am I right about that? Tell me if I'm wrong about any of that. Brian, Kevin, am I right? Sense of belonging. Of course they would say that, right? But yes, it does. These guys are friends. Long-term relationship. Kevin Lynch will never forget Brian Stafford, and Brian Stafford will never forget Kevin Lynch for their entire life because of the apprentice program. Lifetime relationships. And a place for, now Brian's not aging, but if he were aging, well, he is aging. We're all aging, right? Yeah, a little bit, right? But it is the place to get back. It's a place, it's one thing for us to gain the knowledge and have the knowledge, but to never give it back, we're a waste. We got to get back. Corporate, hey, how about you guys? Yeah, you're involved. Properly trained automotive technician. We're talking about reducing warranty rates due to misdiagnosis. You got a seasoned technician overseeing an apprentice. Assisting the industry with its biggest challenge. You think you won't get some, what's the word I'm looking for? Commitment there when you've helped in that process? Oh, and don't forget the last one, providing customers for yourself. Do parts suppliers need technicians who can diagnose cars properly to buy the right parts? Do tool people like Mac Tools and Snap-on Tools and others, Cornwell, don't What, don't they need technicians to be, when they pull up on the lot with their truck and their tools to sell, don't they need someone there to buy? We provide a showroom for them, but if there's no one in the bays, there are no customers. Do they have a vested interest in this program? You bet. Let me tell you what's been done so far. What's Mike been doing for the last year or two besides not shaving? All right. One, we set up a board of directors. We developed a name and logo. We have a website called skilledlaborus.com. We've written bylaws and a tagline. We have a mission statement. We've written employment requirements. These are people that would actually work for ASLA in a particular role. We've written a job description for 5 people. We only really need 2 to get started to move things along in the right direction, because I work for free. Okay. I've written a budget. I have a 1-year, a 3-year, and 10-year goals for the organization. We then applied for nonprofit status with the IRS, and we received that last year, September 2015, with the IRS. We are now a 501c3 public charity. Approved apprenticeship program by the United States Department of Labor. Took a 1.5 years. We got it done. A lot of work went into that. And right now, because of all the work that was done with the Department of Labor, the Veterans Administration is in process. So they're telling me just a couple of weeks. I met with them last week, and normally it takes like months. So now we're talking about veterans who are leaving the service that have been trained on wheeled vehicles, or they've been trained in different areas, and they want to come into our industry to be automotive technicians. Now they can access funds to help pay for the cost of training to work alongside a mentor. Now that's wise use of federal dollars. The first thing we had to do, of course, when we went back to our meetings as a board of directors, before there was a board of directors and we were just business owners crying on each other's shoulders, the thing we had to do is we had to identify the need, right? Is there a need? Well, we'll go back to a presentation I had to give to the Pro Service back in 2013 and 14. I had to give a report on the state of our industry. And so from 2010 to 2020, this is for automotive technicians, a 17% increase, or 124,800 jobs are expected to be available for automotive technicians during that period of time. We're about a little bit more than halfway through that. That number, of course, has declined a little bit, but I can tell you that a lot of that is because there's been shops closing, because there's no technicians. So there's no job, right? Here's our current training model, and I want to be careful here because the technical schools play a vital role in training, and they do. And there are some really good ones across this country, but there are some that just have not seemed to be able to meet what we need as business owners. I mean, we know what we need, and some haven't been able to produce that for whatever reason. Who knows? Maybe some of you do. But let's just talk about the hours. I'm just going to break down the hours. Let's say you go to high school and you're in the automotive program at a high school. Okay? So there's 180 days in a particular school year. There's 7 days for standardized testing. So that means 173 times 2 hours per day in the classroom gives you 346 hours. Divided by 8, that's 43 and a quarter days. All right? You get that? For 2 years, you get 8 days, or 43 and a quarter days. All right, so times 2 years is 86.5 days. Plus, in your senior year, those classes are only 50 minutes. So that breaks down at 50 minutes a day to 18.33 days. So the 3-year total with class and hands-on instruction is equal to 105 8-hour days. So just hang with me on these numbers. Okay, I'm a numbers guy. 105 8-hour days in high school. Okay, so we go to the 2-year technical school. Technical college 4-semester program, approximately 22 hours a week equals 176 8-hour days. So you take 3 years of high school plus 4 semesters at a technical college, and you've got 281 8-hour days. Well, the certifying entity in our industry is ASC. And ASC alone requires 508 8-hour days on the job before a single certification can be issued. There's a gap there, right? There's a big gap. So as a shop owner, we don't need master technicians coming out of technical colleges. We just need qualified apprentices. That's what we need them to produce. That's what we got to have. ASLA, our minimum training is 4,000 hours as an apprentice. That's approximately 2 years. Because guess what? It's a job. It's 52 weeks a year. Every day. 5 days a week anyway. And you can kind of see, and I'll tell you more about this later, but these are the hours that are required, but they total 4,000 hours under what's been approved by the Department of Labor. And we have a time tracking device for shops that's really easy, real spreadsheet. We'll show you that later. So what's in the heart of ASLA? Well, I've already mentioned it. It's the Apprentice Program Guide. It's very comprehensive. Said it's written by Bob Cooper, Jim Perano, Joe Marconi, and I did a little bit of work. But I can tell you those guys did an incredible amount of work. In fact, here's a note from Bob Cooper. This is his words. This Elite Apprentice Program Guide is the first comprehensive guide to be offered to the industry. In creating this guide, I utilized my experience in the industry as well as the discoveries we made at Elite by researching the practices used by many of the top shops in America. This guide has been created to accomplish one simple goal, to help you better secure your future by ensuring that you have the gifted technicians and service advisors you need for years to come. Bob Cooper. Okay, so let's look at the table of contents. Now, you got to know that Bob Cooper's from Southern California, and you know, I'm from Arkansas. All my schooling is here in Arkansas, so the language is a little bit different in Southern California than it is in Arkansas. So I had to learn a whole new language, but I did, and there's kind of that kind of gives you the table of contents of what's in that guide. Gives you an idea. Well, you know, when I started working with the federal government, I had to learn another language. It was one in Washington, D.C., so this is what theirs looked like. So I've learned 2 languages in the last couple of years, one from Southern California and one from Washington, D.C., and I had to translate. I had to translate what Bob had written and this other gentleman had written in the APG, and I had to make it here to get all of this. But what I really want you to focus on is just right down here at the bottom. You see that Appendix A, Appendix B, Appendix C, D, and E. Those are work process schedule and related instruction. This is where the rubber meets the road right there. This is what matters right down here. Apprenticeship agreements. Affirmative action plan, because we need to do that. We need to follow that. Qualifications and selection procedures. And then the one that I think most of us would want to know about is employer acceptance agreement. Now, that could be scary, right? Employer acceptance agreement? How in the world am I going to manage that? And especially from the federal government, that's got to be a huge document. Well, thankfully, due to a lot of good translation, we came up with a document that's only about a quarter page. So that's good, right? Good news, shop owners. You're not going to have to read Obamacare in order to know what it is we're going to do for apprentices. We made it easy. Let's talk about the workplace schedule. Again, need to interpret what was written in the Apprentice Program Guide, and we had to convert it to what's going to happen with the Department of Labor. Had to make these 2 marry and work well together. Spent a lot of time doing that. We've broken it down into pretty simple sections. We also had to assign the amount of hours that we believe that ought to be spent in training in these particular areas. So you can see there's shop safety. This is job 1. Job 1, we know how important safety is. We know that a guy can lose a finger in our industry. We know that a guy can get killed. We know that a guy can lose a limb, all because of not being safe. So this is job 1. We know that there are things within our shops that can kill people, and they have to know that. So that's job 1. And we think there ought to be 420 hours. And I can tell you that all these hours that's what's been approved, and doesn't mean they can't change. And they, you know, as we talk and learn and grow together, maybe that there's some differences there that we can all learn about. Suspension and steering, about 630 hours, and we've broken that down into 6 more sections. Engine performance, we've broken that down into 4. Tires, 1. You know, they're round and black. I mean, how much can you learn about tires, right? But they're still important, right? You need them on right. That's for sure. Heating and cooling and air conditioning, or HVAC, we've broken that down into 7 sections, 735 hours. So recommended minimum hours on the job is 4,000 hours. That's what we want. That's minimum. Can go longer if needed. All right? Next thing is related instruction. Because there's one thing to be in the bays, wrench in hand, working on car, and there's other things that we still need to be able to read, we still need to be able to write, and we still need to know arithmetic, and so we need related instruction. So under the program, there's 288 hours of related instruction. Now I want to be sure and mention that Napa Auto Parts has stepped up, and they have provided 100% of all related training for all apprentices in the ASLA program. 100% of it they're providing for us. It's already set up. It's already done. We figure out 20 hours in safety and related training, 20 hours in brakes, 42 in electricity and electrical systems, about 55 in engine performance and diagnostics, 11 on tires, still some stuff to learn there, and HVAC about 75 hours. And then manufacturer vehicle scheduled maintenance, about 65 hours. We've broken that down into 6. So we have a total minimum hours of 288 over a 2-year period of time. We also have a course as a part of the organization that it's called Auto Upkeep that is assigned to the student during their first year as an apprentice that's also considered related training. And all this is tracked and kept up with right on the Napa Auto Care page. Everything goes right there. We also register the apprentice with the Department of Labor. All they care about is to make sure that we have followed their hours of training and that we that their increase in pay has gone according to the plan, which has all been written and pre-approved. So what happens in the Bay? What really goes on in the Bay? Well, that might happen in some cases, but you know, what I really want to see is I want to see a lot more of this. I want to see some really happy people. And I know that there are more and more women getting into our industry working on vehicles. And I think they should. You know why? Because the truth is that women have a lot better ability for cognitive thinking and, oh, the word I'm looking for is leaving me, critical thinking skills. You know, they do. They tend to stop, think, put it all together. But we need more of those in our industry. I think they can do a really great job for us. It's up to us to make it happen. So what does really go on in the Bay? There's really just 2 forms. This one right here is technician time record. Technician simply each day. This is there's 4 years of information, but every single day, the apprentice simply puts in the amount of time that he was there that day, the available time in the upper left-hand corner. You see it on the blue slot. And in the yellow are those things. Well, what did I learn today? And we define for the technician and for the apprentice, what does it mean when I'm training versus production? So we help them understand what that means and how many hours of the day can I do that. You might think, well, I can't even get on a bunch of time clock. What are they going to do? You know, how are they going to do that? Well, I'll tell you why they're going to do that, because there's a lot riding on it. There's a lot riding on that. Why would an apprentice sign off that he learned something if he's in this for a living to become a professional automotive technician and lie? The mentor has to agree ahead of time that he will make sure this is done correctly and truthful. This is also what's used to reimburse the automotive shop. I think the shop owner might have an interest in that being done correctly. So we got a lot of interest in there for it to be done correctly. But we made it easy. This has to be sent to ASLA once a month, and at the end of each and every day, you can know how much time did my apprentice spend in production, producing work for the shop, and how much time did he spend in training? What percentage of his day was what or what? It's all done for you automatically. Just put in the numbers. And then once a month, I love this. I picked this up, by the way. I'm going to give credit where credit's due, from the electrical industry and what they do. All right. This is an apprentice evaluation. I adopted it to ASLA with permission, of course. Okay. And I thought, well, these things are really, really important. Look at what we asked. And this is, by the way, this is filled out by the mentor, turned in once a month to ASLA. Becomes a part of the file for the apprentice. Initiative, mechanical aptitude, safety rules. How about attitude? Does it make a difference? Right? Don't we hire people for what they know and we fire them for who they are? Right? That's what happens to us, right? Are they responsible? Use of working time, tardiness, accuracy. How about personal hygiene? We all have those cases. Attendance, communication skills, attire, and then overall comments and how you think is turned in once a month by the mentor. We just want to know how he's doing. We're just going to put it in his file and keep up with it. Because there's going to be a time where an apprentice is at one shop and he needs to go in another. And if you're going to go to another shop or you're that other shop owner, wouldn't you like to be able to see a little bit more about this person? How'd he do here? Before you decide to hire him, which, by the way, is always the shop owner's choice. The shop owner is the one who decides who I'm going to hire. They do an interview. Employer requirements. As an employer, you're required to provide a mentor. And we want you to support ASLA, yes, with a tax-deductible charitable donation of $50 a month or more. And a signed agreement. So it's 3 things you got to do. That's it. Agree to our program, read our program, understand it, understand what your responsibilities are, and really that's it. You need to agree to provide a mentor, you need to be a member of ASLA, and you need to sign the agreement with the Department of Labor. The apprentice also signs an agreement, by the way. That's employer requirements. This is always an important part, right? We can't talk about all of this and not talk about the money. What about the money, Mike? Where does it start? Where does it go? Where does it come from? Okay, well, let me talk about the apprentice to start with. There's tuition for the apprentice. This is not a free government program, okay? In fact, I firmly believe with all my heart that if our industry will get behind this at the level that we should, we will not need those funds from the federal government, but we do need them to get us jump-started. But I have every reason to believe with all my heart that we, as an industry, can make this happen. But we do need help to get it started. All right. So this is what happens for the apprentice to start with. There's a Burke test that's optional. It's not required. We do drug tests and background checks. I've already set up with an organization for over the entire United States where I can do drug testing and background tests with one phone call for anybody in the nation. An ASLA interview. I put together an interview process some years ago called Hiring for Keeps, where we've learned some things about hiring people to identify are they the right fit for our culture? Can they do a good job for us? There are some books to buy. The business does interview that apprentice, by the way, or potential apprentice. He pays a tuition for monthly reporting and tuition. Program cost per year $12,170. That's the first year. The second year is $11,620. And if we still need some more months after that, it's $968.33 a month. You think there might be some motivation to get this thing done? You know, probably. But we're going to make sure it's done right. So let's follow the money. All right, let's go through the pattern. It starts with a whole bunch of people in America on the far left to give they give some money. They'll give a little money. No, sometimes they give a lot of money to the feds, and then a little bit of it gets to the Department of Labor. That's where a part of it goes. And then the Department of Labor, they then give it back to each state. They give some of that money to the state. And it's the state who decides which apprentice programs are approved. The money is earmarked for apprenticeship programs. And so they decide at each state level who gets the money. And every single application that I've seen for every state, when we talk about apprentice programs, they have one question. They want to know how many jobs you're providing. That's all they care about, because that's what they're there for, right? Apprentices, jobs. That's their question. Well, see, under the ASLA guidelines, it's 1-to-1. We're not going to put one technician with 2 mentors or 2 apprentices or 3 apprentices. I mean, it'd drive him nuts. Couldn't do it. 1-to-1. That's what we want. And part of that's because it's very important that these guys learn how important their job is so people don't die. 1-to-1. That's the way it should be. So 1-to-1. So the number of shops that we have a direct correlation to the amount of dollars that we get, because you see, they will pay a certain amount of money per job. That's how the money's distributed. That's why they want to know how many jobs and how long a time. So the more shops that we have sign up as ASLA members, no matter where you are in the country, the sooner we can get apprentices on board in the program. Those that are willing and have that heart that we need. Not just a job, but a career. And we're going to provide it for them. It does cost money. I've been tracking the cost of these two guys for a year in my shop. I've had no help from anybody except whatever we could produce. So Brian and Kevin, I've looked at as one person for over a year. And I've tracked the costs. And I know not every shop's like Parkway, not every shop's big as Parkway, not some are bigger, some are smaller. It's all over the board. But percentages you can pretty well count on in a lot of ways. So I want you to know the first 14 weeks was pretty rough going. Look at that chart. I don't have to explain a lot to you to tell you that was pretty rough going. And what I'm measuring here, by the way, is gross profit. Okay, because in my industry and what I've learned in the training that I've had is that we want 70% gross profit off labor. All right, everyone on this call should know that, and everyone in this room that has a shop should know that. That's what we're after. But boy, we had a rough going. 70's up at the top, by the way, at the top of that chart. First 14 weeks, we just couldn't make it. So we made some changes along the way. And then this is all the way through the end of June of this year, okay? So this comes from week 15, okay? And then all the way through June 29th of 2016. Now, have you ever had a bad day, a bad week in the shop? You ever had a bad week? Yeah, well, you can see those in there. But look what we did. We kind of leveled out. We've gotten a little bit closer to 70. Now, we haven't made it. I mean, there's very few times that you would see that. But you can see 65 and 60, 62. Here's 72. There's one there. 57, 55. So you see, we don't need we don't need millions of dollars here to fill up that gap. We just need a little help to fill up that gap so that we can, pay the light bill and pay our vendors and pay our employees and benefits and all the other things, the health care, all the things that we do as business owners. But boy, that chart looks a lot better than that one. But this is where it's going to start for every one of you. You got to know that. It's a rocky road. It's tough. And that's where we need help, for sure, right in the beginning. So here's what you can count on right now if you're a shop owner. Right now, if you have an apprentice from ASLA, you can count on right now $5,000 per year per apprentice, period. That's what you'll get. It's not any more difficult than that. More money we get from the Department of Labor and the help from apprenticeship programs, more money you're going to get. We're going to help you. It's all got to be tracked. It's all got to be turned in so that we know you're not going to make $1 million here. You're going to help people get into our industry, learn the industry, and you're going to provide a future for people. You see, you're going to change lives. And as business owners, that's what we have the opportunity to do. We have an incredible blessing to be able to change people's lives. And this can help us. First step. We always got to know what the first step is, right? Step into the water. It's a little bit cold. I'm okay. Got to step in a little bit. Here's the first step. All right? If you're a shop owner, join ASLA and spend time identifying a mentor in your organization. No one has to do it my way, but I'll just tell you what we did. I took all my technicians to dinner and I said, hey, look at this program. What do you think? And I listened to them and watched them. And, like water and oil, you'll start to see the one that rises to the top that's probably your mentor. You remember those meetings, Brian? Yeah. And I discovered it may not be your top producer because a mentor has certain character traits that makes him a mentor. And in fact, if you go to our website, you will find how we identify a mentor. And it's what you can do. It says right on there, identify a mentor, so it's not hard to find. Take your people to lunch. Take a few of your guys to lunch or take them to dinner and find out, is this guy or gal the mentor that should be in my shop? So identify a mentor. That's your job. 2 things. Join ASLA and identify a mentor. Job 1. First step. That's all you got to do. It doesn't cost you anything. Well, except for joining. Apprentices. Think about this. You got guys that are leaving the armed services. You've got guys that have finished high school, guys and gals that have finished high school, guys and gals that have finished technical schools, guys and gals that just want to be in our industry. They just want to be there. You meet them all the time. Or you'll have parents ask you questions. All of you all over the country that are watching us tonight, you get asked the question a lot, all the time. We all do. All you got to do is remember our website, skilledlaborus.com. That's it. You see, there's a button on there for apprentice initial contact. That's all it is. That's not hard. 4 questions. Some things that the Department of Labor wants to be sure that we're tracking and that we know. We do want to know. We want to know your gender. We want to know your ethnicity. We want to know, are we following affirmative action? And are we, in fact, hiring people that look different than us? They want to know that. Are we giving them an opportunity to get into the program? So that's what we're going to do. Immediately, right, John? Immediately after they fill that out and send it to us, then they're going to receive immediately. As soon as they fill this out, automatic, they're going to get an enrollment form, a pre-screen document, and tuition schedule. They're going to know right then, right now. It's going to happen automatically. Right, John? It'll happen automatically, right? Okay, John's shaking his head for those who can't see John. He's shaking his head. He's my guy. Okay. So once enrolled and initial fees are paid, we'll perform a background check, interview, drug test, and we'll locate a member shop in the area to set up an interview. That's it. It's not any harder than that. You know, I read all this and I think back over the last 3 years of my life, and I'm thinking, how did we get it so simple? Because it's been a lot of work, truthfully. It really has. But it's paid off. I've had a lot of great people around me that's helped me make this happen. It's not, I just happen to be the voice. But there's been a lot of people around me to make this come to fruition where we are now. All right, you parts, tool, and equipment suppliers that are online or in the room, you got to believe that you're building your future for your customers. So I want to give you some tracks to run on. I want to see you get committed to an organization that is dedicated to building your future customers. That's what we're doing. That's our only goal. We're not a union. We're not anything other than bringing people into our industry who otherwise had no course. They had no tracks. That's what we're talking about. That's what we're doing. That's my passion. That's my heart. That's where I want us to go. So there's an opportunity in what I have put together for you to come together. And you can give more if you want. It's okay. You don't have to give that. You can give more if you want. But it's what it's going to take. And these are the ways that I believe our organization can do without the federal government. We do need the federal government's help to get started, no question about that. But for sure, we do not want to be dependent on the federal government. They don't want us to be dependent, and I don't want to be dependent on them. And if we all work together, because there is strength in unity, and that's where we'll find our strength. Other ways to support. Again, all contributions are tax deductible as a 501c3. If you have an Amazon account, you can actually sign up for what's called smile.amazon, and a portion of all of your purchases can be given to American Skilled Labor Association. You go to our website, click on a button, and you're signed up. It's not any harder than that. And now all of your purchases through Amazon, not all of your purchases that qualify, I should say it that way, they give 0.5% to ASLA. You choose who you want the charity to go to. So it doesn't have to be ASLA, but that's why we're here, and that's the one I would obviously recommend to you. You should contact your state's Department of Labor. We need to know what's available for them, the contact people. I need to know who those people are so that I can get in touch with them and that I can show them our program, because we're talking about their dollars helping apprenticeships in your state, wherever you are. We need to let vendors and tool suppliers and equipment suppliers know about ASLA. Just go to skilledlaborus.com and you'll find the information you need. You'll find contact information. But we do need their help. Okay, we're down to questions. So I'm interested in seeing any questions in the room, and then we'll go to questions that have come through via text messaging, because I'm sure you maybe had some questions along the way. Okay, thanks, John. Okay. Sometimes the audio is quite garbled. Sometimes it's great. Well, they've talked to me several times, haven't they? Question: if there isn't a mentor in the shop, could the shop owner qualify? Yes, the shop owner could qualify as long as he was able to spend the hours with the apprentice. Again, we're talking about people's lives and safety. We don't want that apprentice going off on his own to do something to a car that you can't oversee. So if you're a small shop, then yes, that could happen. If you're a larger shop, you're going to be challenged. Okay. Okay. They're coming in. Okay. One is, what if we already have apprentice tech teams? Well, all that needs to happen there is register the apprentice with the Department of Labor or with ASLA. We will register them with the Department of Labor. They will need to pay tuition and fees, so you would need to look at the program. We can give them credit. So people that have done something in high school or they've done something in technical schools, we can actually give them credit when they come into the program on what they've learned. We just need to know what they've learned. We need to know what they've completed, and we can give them credit toward the completion of the program. So maybe they only need a year. Wouldn't that be great? And some of those things would not be needed if you already have an apprentice in the program. You wouldn't need a background check or drug test because I would assume you've either done that or you don't care. Okay. Those things have been done. You don't need to do an interview. You don't, I mean, those things are in state. So we're really just talking about tuition and reporting. That's all we're really talking about at that point. So it's going to be less money. And I hope I don't miss any. Can this work for all states, or is there more red tape to go through state by state? Listen, we'll handle the red tape with the Department of Labor because it's approved. And this is the reason, as I learned about all of this, not to do the state of Arkansas, but to do the federal U.S. Department of Labor so that the approval process at any state in the union is much quicker than it is if you just went state by state. We're approved. So, United States Department of Labor. Some have asked if the presentation is being recorded. Yes, it is. The entire presentation, including the goof ups in the beginning and the things that we were trying to figure out, that's all recorded, so you get to see the whole thing. So yes, it'll be recorded, and John can probably answer how we'll get that to you, but it'll be recorded. I'll have it on my YouTube channel for Parkway Automotive, and it's public. Okay. We'll send the link out to everyone who's registered. How's that? Yeah, great. Thanks, John. Yeah. Okay, go ahead. Eh, Okay, and let me just real quickly, Sid, let our audience know that Sid with Christian Brothers Automotive is going to ask a question that has been sent to him as a text message. So give me just a second. I'm going to listen to him and I'll repeat the question. Yeah, yeah, I've been doing an apprentice program at Parkway Automotive. In fact, Brian, my mentor, came into our organization as an apprentice as well. At that point, we called a tech assistant, and he worked alongside a technician. Doing more than one at a time is a big hurdle, and so I recommend just one mentor, one apprentice. I mean, if you're big enough and you can do two, and you want to do that, that's fine. But really, one is what I personally would recommend, just based on my experience as the shop that I am. And I'm a shop with about 6 bays, 7 bays, yeah, 7 bays, and we run 6 technicians and 3 service advisors. So that's the size we are. So we're sort of what we might be considered a medium shop. We're not super large. Oh, thank you. Did I fail to do that? So the question, the question is, can I run two mentors and apprentices, and is it can I afford to do two? I mean, under ASLA guidelines, you can run as many as you want. You run 2 apprentices, then it's going to be 10 grand a year. If you run one, it's 5 right now. And that money is coming from the tuition from the student. And so as we get money from the Department of Labor, and they have earmarked a certain portion can be used for administration and the other can be used for the apprentice program. Okay, so whatever that portion ends up being for the apprentice program, that's going to the shops, guys. I mean, I'm not doing this because I'm going to get rich and make a lot of money. I'm doing this because I love our industry. I love people. I want to get people on the right track in our industry. So as much of that money as possible is going to come to you. It's not going to come to me. Yeah, yeah. A lot of people did ask about people that are just maybe they've been in the industry for a while, but they really haven't gotten off the ground. They're still on the ground floor, and this is their opportunity. This is their opportunity to to get something going. Another question that just came in: the tuition is paid to ASLA or to the apprentice? It is paid to ASLA. That's where the funds are paid to. So we're expecting the student to be a student and pay his tuition to come into the program. That's what we expect. And then a part of that is used for what you saw there in administration of the organization. And then a good portion of it is going right back to the shop for their training when they turn in their hours. That's what it's being used for. Let me tell you what, that guy's receiving a huge amount from you. One-on-one training, you bet. Where's he going to get that? It's huge. Yeah, that's right. It's big. Okay. Okay. Um, okay. In regards to tuition, the student has to pay or the shop is paying. Could that be explained a bit better? For sure, it doesn't matter who pays, but just know you know what that money's being used for, as I showed you earlier, and a portion of that is coming back to the shop based on your training. So whether if you want to scholarship a student, but it's primarily the student's responsibility, but if you want to scholarship a student, or the parents who want to pay for their son to go to the apprentice program rather than a secondary education, that's their choice, school choice, right? Then they have that option to do that. I hope that explained. You can. What I know from, let's talk about veterans first because there's money available. There's stipends there for veterans, and although the Veterans Administration will not pay specific tuition, the amount that they receive for housing and some other items, I can't recall the names of them yet, more than cover the tuition for ASLA. It's a lot depending on the number of years that they're in service. So what we have on our site is a place especially for veterans, and this would be, and when I say veterans, I mean anybody that served in the armed services. So many of this is from the Veterans Administration. They told me so many guys have no idea that they have benefits available to them. They don't even know. So the first step is if you've served in the armed services, period. Okay, that's where you go first. You're going to fill out that form. You're going to get it to us. We're going to submit it to the Veterans Administration. It goes to them. Then they let us know how much is available from the Veterans Administration. And I think that answered the question about the veterans, but your question was actually more towards something else. So could you ask me that again? I need to make sure I repeat it. Right. Yeah. Yeah, great. So Larry Golden with Golden Collision Center here in Arkansas asked the question: Is if I'm out of high school and I have can I use a Pell Grant, for example, or could I use some other grant that I would normally use for secondary education? Can I use it for ASLA? The answer to that question right now is no. But I can tell you that all of our country, everyone is saying we've got to do something different for skilled labor than we have in the past, and that might be one of those places because it is being pursued, it is being looked at as an opportunity. That's one of the areas that I'm pursuing now is why can't we use this for skilled labor? Yeah, why can't we? But I also believe that there's a lot of parents that would make a choice between their student going to school for 2 years and wondering if they'll have a job when they get done, or 4 years, or getting a job today, doing what they really love to do, skilled labor, whatever it may be. And get paid, by the way. It is a job. We follow all the guidelines of a regular employee. So you go to school and you get paid. Mm-hmm. Okay, so that's a part of the tuition that goes directly back to the shop as they complete training. So once a month, we write a check back to the shop for the training based on hours of spent training. So for the time spent in production, so this is a standard for the Department of Labor, any time that the student spends producing work for you is not reimbursable. The time spent learning is. Related training is not a required reimbursable time. In other words, I said that wrong. You are not required to pay the student for related training. Okay, he does that on his own. Now, if he does it during work hours and you have the time for him to do that, to sit at a computer and do related training, then yes, he's an employee. You pay him like you would any other employee. But if he goes home at night and he goes on the computer and he works on his related training, it's like homework for him or her. So yes, they can. You don't have to pay them after hours to do that related training. 288 hours are required. They record it, comes in, we give them credit. When the apprentice completes his training and is qualified, what does he receive to carry with him, proving his qualifications through ASLA, such as a diploma equivalency? Yes, they actually get a certificate of completion from the United States Department of Labor, Office of Apprenticeships. I don't know if I brought that copy with me or not. I don't think I did. But yes, there is an official certificate that is issued by the United States Department of Labor. Once they've completed all the training, I submit that information to the Department of Labor, and they issue a certificate. Yes. Mm-hmm. Yeah. So let's go back to the very beginning where we want to be involved in junior high and high schools. We want to let the counselors know what's available to our in our industry. They need to know that. It's a wonderful industry, a marvelous industry. And I should repeat your question, Larry, with Golden Collision asked in regards to how are we going to recruit. And I can tell you that I've already have good communication with the United States Air Force. There's an Air Force base here in Little Rock, and they have people that are leaving the armed services all the time. And you guys see them all the time, especially if you're on Indeed.com or other places. You'll find a lot of them. But specifically, ASLA's goal is that we will have we'll call them a recruiter, a representative in the junior high and high schools. We will be at job fairs. We will be in the places that we need to be to expose people to our industry, wherever that may be. Question from online. Mike, is there anything in your program that talks about how to fairly compensate the mentor for his time and possibly lost productions? My techs are all performance paid. We have spent some time on that, haven't we, Brian? We really, really have. And yes, there's some things that need to be talked about. In fact, did you know, I know a lot of, in most of the country, technicians specifically are paid on performance. They're paid on what's called a flat rate. And however, in California, it's against the law, by the way. So yes, we have pay plans that we can talk about and different options that we've looked at and that we are currently doing. Again, I've had a mentor and an apprentice in my shop for a year. There are other shops across the country that I have relationships with that are also doing a mentor apprentice program that have made, in fact, we modified some of ours from some of the information that I learned from some of those people. So there's a good network of shops that can give you a lot of options on how do we compensate this person. We're going to have a guy or gal that's producing this much, and we're going to say, oh, by the way, here's an apprentice. Well, you know that his production is going to go down and your payroll cost is going to go up. And that's where we need the help, right? That's where the cost is not something we can do alone for very long. So we got to have that help. And it's available to us. But to help you with that. Okay, is the tuition pay, okay, is there any funds available for tooling for the apprentice? That's a really great question for our tool suppliers that we even talked about here. We're talking about their future employees, future customers. I do not have a toolbox full of tools that I can give to an apprentice. All right. Now, I have a toolbox available for my apprentice, but my apprentice was so excited about coming to work under our program because you see, I didn't just interview him, I interviewed him and his parents. And he was so excited. The next thing I knew, he went and got a toolbox. He showed up with his own toolbox. And he came up with a simple set of hand tools to start with. And by the way, part of the standards for ASLA is that the mentor agrees to loan his tools to the apprentice, but there's also a responsibility of the apprentice to make sure those tools are turned in or he will buy one. Okay, so there's a sharing. There's a sharing of knowledge and tools. And I would say that happens on a daily basis. When you say that, Brian, he's stepping over. But he knows your toolbox as well as you do by now, right? They're working right beside each other, Bay 4, Bay 5. We call them by their real names, but that's where they work. Okay. Is there a standard curriculum that needs to follow? Yes, and that's where we married what Bob Cooper had written in the APG and what and what the Department of Labor requires. We spent a lot of time making those two things marry, so that there would be those tracks to run on, as I've referred to all night long. It's very specific in what task he's to learn, what he's able to demonstrate to the mentor. He has to demonstrate to the mentor that he can do what that says, and the mentor signs off on it. So yes, there's particular things that we've learned. Now the truth is all that could be changed. Board of directors, we could change all of that. There's forms we can fill out for the Department of Labor if we felt it needed to change, because you know what? Our industry changes, so things will happen along the way. But for now, we have a curriculum, we have a path that we want those guys to run on. I'll tell you that's the distinction that can be made. As Bob Cooper said, this is the first of its kind. The Apprentice Program Guide is the first of its kind. And so now we're talking about tracks for those guys to run on, guys and gals to run on as apprentices. Okay, so that program is on our website. Thank you, John Dodson, my techie guy who's here with me tonight. Thank you, John. It is on the website. You can look at it right now. Says, are we paying the are we paying the apprentice an hourly wage while in the program? How you pay the apprentice is totally up to you. He's your employee. Now, I would recommend an hourly wage, because he's got a lot. Day one, what's he going to produce about safety? You're gonna teach him how to not die. And so it probably needs to be an hourly wage would be my recommendation. But again, they're not an employee of ASLA. They're your employee. Do whatever you do. Your hands aren't being tied by me or the Department of Labor in how you pay them, other than there is a percentage of what you pay the mentor that should be paid to the apprentice, and that's in the standards. You'll be able to read those and see what those, but only as they reach competency levels are you expected to have any increase for that student. So there are benchmarks, there are checkpoints, if you will, that have to be reached. If those checkpoints are reached, then the apprentice should expect to get an increase in pay. I don't see any more blue dots, except that my prescription is ready at Walmart, Nance. That's all I got. So I think we're good. Any other questions from anyone in the room here tonight? I appreciate the opportunity, both for so many of you that came online and listened to what we had to say about ASLA. You can reach out to me. Again, the number that's been displayed is my cell phone, 501-993-6121. You can call me. You can also reach me through the website at www.skilledlaborus.com. There's a contact page there where you can reach out to me via email, or my cell phone's listed. Just call me. That's how we do it in Arkansas. We just like talking on the phone. That's what we do. So again, thanks again. And again, for those that are on YouTube, I'm really sorry that you don't get to see all the great food that we have back here that Leah put together for us, because what we're going to do right now is we're going to enjoy it. So thank you very much for coming to tonight's meeting.